In this new video, we're going to show you how to, after making a cutting board, carve in a handle and a juice groove, as you can see in the photo right here of the one I made. So let's log into our virtual drive and into Aspire, and let's get going. Now that we're in, click into Aspire and start a new program, a new file. This is where you have to take your cutting board, which should have already been glued up, then milled down to size correctly so that you can measure it exactly. Remember, when it's asking for width, what it means is on the screen from the left to the right, what is its width? Most of the time, this will be the actual length of your cutting board, measuring with the grain. And then height is, again, height on your screen. That would be the official width. But put in the numbers. We're actually carving this out as if it's sideways. So the handle will be here to our left, and the juice groove will be in the rest of it. Now, measure very carefully. The cutting board that I made is exactly 16.5 by 12.75. Around 16 by 12 is a pretty good size for a cutting board. Thickness, though, you have to be exact. Use a caliper, not just a tape measure, something that you can get a digital readout of the actual thickness. In my case, I'm going to keep it at 0.75 precisely, and you need to put in the exact numbers that is. Put your XY datum, your home position, in the lower left corner, and then hit OK. And we're ready to go. To make the handle, it's very simple. The handle is simply a rectangle that we're going to round off the ends. Where it says corner type, we're going to do a radius external. So a handle, now it's asking for size right here. Anchor point is just where's it going to show up on your board. I don't really care. I can move it. I'm going to move it into place anyway. So width-wise, and remember, follow the arrows. That's left to right. I'm going to do it about 1 inch. That's about a good size for your hand to fit through. Height-wise, I tend to do around 6 inches, so it's comfortable. It's not so tight on your hand, but not huge. But this is up to you. You can change these numbers a little. If you have bigger, smaller hands, that's fine. And hit. Well, if we hit create, it's going to give me a box. Okay, there it is. What I want, though, is I want nice, rounded outside corners. So right here where it says radius external, it even shows you what it's going to look like. If I do internal, we don't want that. That's opposite. So radius external. What will the radius be if I have a 1 inch wide piece? That should be 0.5, and then hit create. Now, I actually have 2 handles there now, and that's fine. I'll get rid of the one I don't want. But close out, and then click on the one you want. Click it once, hold a second, click twice. These little dots, these handles appear. Grab the center, and we'll just kind of move it sort of into place. Usually when you get close to the middle, it'll snap to the center line. You can see it appear there. And then up and down, that's up to you. But if I end up putting it kind of off center by accident, okay, first let's get rid of the old one. Click, and in my case, if you have a mouse, right click and just hit delete. If your keyboard has a delete key, not backspace, a delete, that works just as well. But if I want to center this, click on it. Under transform, go to the white button on the right, says align, and I can align it up and down. Now, if I hit the middle one, it'll put it dead center. Now, obviously, I don't want a handle there. So I click on this a second time, get the handles, and I just simply move it along the center line approximately to there. I'm usually maybe a little over an inch or so away from the edge. If you want to know exactly how far that is, then under create vectors, there's one of these that has a line with it's got a question mark above it. This will tell you a dimension, how far. If I click on that, I can go to here, and it should snap to the center here, click, and then right to there, click, and it's going to tell me, as I zoom in, it's 1.3187 away from that edge. That's fine. I don't care if it's exact at 1. I want it approximately that far, and now I can delete that. That's good enough for me. If you want it less, then move it into the right place. You can even use your arrows. Click on it once and use your actual keyboard arrows to slightly move it a little at a time. Any of those work fine. So there's my handle. And I wanted to teach you a little bit about layers, okay, putting some of these things in layers. So we're going to come up to layers here where it says layer 1. That's our current active layer. So we want to add a layer. We want to call it handle. And we're going to change the color. In this case, I'll make it red. Okay, and right now with the light bulb next to it, that's an active layer. If I turn it off, then it disappears. So if I go click on here, right click, and we go to move to layer, and we go to handle, this will now be red. Now, if I go to handle, and like I said, click on the light bulb, it disappears. Now it's gone. We do it in layers now and then because it helps to separate what we're doing, and we can turn on and off different lines. So this is a good thing to keep track of as our projects get more intricate. It'll be nice to separate certain lines out with layers. And while we're here, we may as well either do a new layer or we could rename one of these. I'm just going to add a new layer. It's going to be Juice Groove. And pick your color, and I'll just do a blue. That's fine. And right now they're both on, which is fine. The active layer, though, you need to click on which layer is actively we're using. So we can go ahead and draw a line. We're going to just do a rectangle. Let me zoom out a hair. We're going to grab rectangle for this Juice Groove. Now we're going to go and draw another rectangle. But remember, all of the stuff we put in here before, all the sizes and things like that are still in here. I want to do a square end. And because these are here, if I just click, that rectangle, that size will just show up. I don't want that. So you need to click and hold. Go to a corner, click, hold the button, drag it out to the opposite side. And I'm going to put it almost right along the edge of my handle, right there. Couldn't be right on it. I'm just a little bit off. Okay, and we'll just go ahead and delete this rectangle. Now, this, I don't want the Juice Groove on this edge, so I'm going to offset this rectangle in, okay, inwards. So, all right, we're going to grab this, go to offset. It's below offset and layout. It's the first one. And I found that I need to offset this at least 3/4 of an inch inward, because when I clamp this down, the clamps are on the edge of the cutting board, and I don't want to hit it with the blade we're using, with the bit that's going around making this Juice Groove. So I need it to have a little bit of space from the edge. We're going to go inwards 0.75 inches, at least 3/4 of an inch. You can go a little more if you need, but that's bare minimum. And then hit offset, and then close that out. Now then, I can get rid of the outside one, right click, delete, and then I can move this to a new layer. Move to layer, that's going to be Juice Groove, and it should turn blue, and there it is. Now I have both of these separated out. I'm ready to tell the machine what bits to use to carve these out. So we go over to the other side where all the tool paths are. For this one, the handle first. This is going to be a profile. They're both going to be profiles, but this one will actually cut out the handle. So we need to be careful that our cut depth, start depth should be 0. Our cut depth is how deep are we going when we're done? What's the depth of the last cut? How deep do we want to go? You can either type in exactly the thickness that you typed in. If it's odd, like mine was exactly 0.75, that's easy to remember. If it was an odd number, then do the shortcut and press Z. Z is the up and down dimension. It'll copy exactly what it is on the first one. So if I hover over this, I typed in Z. You can see right there it says Z equals 0.75. By default, it just knows what your thickness is. When you type in Z, it'll copy that over. Now we go to which bit do we want to use. Now I do want to use an end mill. Hit select. End mill 0.25 1/4 inch right here. And we need to type in all the numbers. So copy what I'm doing here, hit copy. And then pass depth, we want this to be 0.25. Step over, I'm not going to worry about because it's only following a line. We're not hollowing anything out. Spindle speed, I'm going to go 16,000 RPMs. Feed rate, I'm going to go 80. And plunge rate, I'm going to go 50. And then I typically, because it's my first tool, I'll make it tool number 1. Hit apply and select. And there's the bit. And in this case, I need to carve out inside this. If I go outside or on, it's actually going to make it a little bit bigger. We don't want that. So I want to go inside the line. and then ramp it. Now, ramping simply means when the blade goes in, instead of plunging straight down into the wood, it goes at a ramp and cuts in. It's a little bit easier on the bit. And I have that at 1 inch. So in 1 inch, it'll go down to a 1/4 inch depth of cut. Anyway, next, tabs. I'm going to add some tabs. Length of the tab is, I do a 1/2 inch, and then thickness I do 0.125. That's an 1/8 of an inch tab. That's a good size of tabs. So now we go into edit tabs. It needs to know where to put them. And you can simply say, how many tabs do you want? I want 2, and you can just tell it to add the tabs. Or I could go in and just click, and it would just put them wherever I want. Okay, so I can delete all tabs and then put them back. There's my 2 tabs. What that'll do is prevent the inside, what's being cut out, of getting sucked up into the vacuum system or jamming into the blade itself and maybe damaging something. So it won't fall out, but then we'll saw it out later. Hit close, and then we just go down and we call it handle and calculate. And when you hit play, it'll show you there are the tabs, so the piece will sit there and we'll just cut and sand them out, route them out, and so forth later on. All right, so the handle's done. Looks good. Now we're going to do the juice groove. Okay, we close this out. It's the same profile toolpath. We're going to press on that, profile, and our cut depth, we want to go very light. I don't want a deep juice groove because things you eat is going to get stuck in there and then it's hard to clean and so forth. We're only going to go 1/8 of an inch, 0.125 inches deep. And we have to have a different bit. So we hit select. And in this case, ball nose, if I click on a ball nose, we're going to do ball nose 1/2 inch. You can see it does have a little picture where it's rounded on the tip, and that's exactly what we want. We don't want a straight in juice groove that an end mill would do. So let's put in the numbers. Copy. And pass depth is less than 1/8, so that's fine. It'll do it in one pass. Step over, I don't care about. Spindle speed, we're going to speed this up a little to about 14,000. It's a little smaller than our 1/4 inch bit, so I need to slow it down just a touch. Feed rate is way too high. 220 is a bit overkill. So I'm going to go about 100 because we're only going 1/8 of an inch. We don't need it that deep. Plunge rate, we're going to go down to 50. And then this is tool number 2 right there. So I hit apply and select. There's my ball nose. In this case, I want to go on the line, right on top of the line. So it's going to cut 1/4 inch on either side of it. So it is going to get a little narrower here, but not a lot. Again, I can ramp the blade. It's not as necessary on this one, but it always helps. I don't need any tabs because I'm not cutting anything out. And we'll call it juice groove and hit calculate. Then when we hit play, there you have a nice juice groove, and that leaves enough wood on the edge that I can clamp it down without too much fear of hitting one of my clamps on the CNC table. So now everything looks the way I need it, and we're going to make a job sheet to make sure I can look at it to double check your work. Make sure to save your file on the desktop so that if anything happens, you can go back to it. So we go File, Save As, and we're going to put it on the desktop. Call it your name, CNC Cutting Board, and hit Save. That way, we can always come back to it if something is wrong with any of your settings. Before we make G-code, we need to make a job sheet so that me, your teacher, can look at it to double check all your settings that everything is right. So go back to the 2D view. Job sheet is the second one in on the bottom. It says Create Job Sheet. And all it asks is for us to save it. We'll go ahead and put it on the desktop and save. Now, before we do G-code, open up your job sheet here and let me see this. This is what it should look like. So it shows me what I'm cutting, shows me lower left corner, all of your bits in their order, and all the settings you put in. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with what I've done here. So get out of that, go back into Aspire, and now we'll make G-code. Bottom right, Save Toolpath. Make sure it says Visible Toolpaths to one file, especially with 2 different toolpaths, because you're going to change the bit in the CNC. I need to have them in one file, so we'll ask for the new bit. Legacy CNC, go down, and if you're on my new CNC machine, it'll be the first .nc. If you're on the old one, it'll be a text. But for the most part, it'll be the newer one, .nc. Make sure, because it says no visible tool paths, you have to click on both of them. And there they are, tool 1, tool 2. And then we can save the toolpath on the desktop. I'm just going to keep it the same name and press save. Now when we go down, there should be .nc, our new CNC file, our G-code. Now go through the process of putting it onto your actual computer from the virtual drive. Then we'll put it on the stick, which I'm going to do quickly. I'm going to speed up the process. And that should do it. Now your cutting board G-code is on the stick. Take it out to the CNC machine and let's set it up to give you a nice cutting board.